Here we go.
Good evening. This is the Board of Selectmen's meeting for April 29th, 2015. And we're going to begin tonight with a moment of silence in memory of M. Joseph Manning. I think everyone in town either knew Joe or knew about his service to Milton. Mrs. Rizzi was kind enough to write up a little biography of Joe, and we'll give the abbreviated version. Joe was a state representative for 30 years. He served on the Board of Assessors for 57 years and is a town meeting member for a record 68 years.
Amazing.
Yes, I think probably that record will
Amazing.
be very hard for anyone to meet or surpass. Really a unique service to the town, and Milton's going to miss Joe Manning, but we'll remember him fondly. The board offers our deepest condolences to the Manning family, and the board will now observe a moment of silence for M. Joseph Manning. Thank you. Well, we're joined tonight by two new faces at the table. Congratulations to our newest member, David Burns. David, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's exciting to be here. I look forward to working with both you and Tom and Anne Marie and Paula in your final year. So I'm very fortunate to be here. All the great years you've served.
Thank you, David.
And same to you, Emily. Thank you.
Had a busy few weeks, David, so this will be
Sure
a
have.
transition into just a different phase of the
Take a
game.
deep breath and
And our other new face at the table is Emily Martin, who's going to be succeeding Paula Rizzi. And probably we'll have both of you at the table for the next few meetings.
Certainly hope so.
Prior to joining the Board of Selectmen's meetings, Emily was worked with the planning board and was a presence at all the planning board meetings. I know they're going to miss you. I think they already miss you. So welcome aboard, Emily. We're glad to have you.
Thank
their
you.
loss is our gain.
That's right. That's right. I wanted to just, and we can all chime in, I wanted to just say a few words about our former colleague, Dennis Cohane, and thank Dennis for his service to the town. We all know, because we're all either involved as, I think all of us have been involved as candidates or as supporters of candidates. We know it's never easy when an election goes the way you don't want it to go. Dennis ran 3 contested races in elections in 5 years for school committee and for selectmen. And he served on the school committee, he served on this board. And I was thinking about it today, so Dennis really is somebody who knows what it's like to be, as Teddy Roosevelt once said, the man in the arena. The person who gives of themselves to the town, campaigns for office, does all of the hard work to get elected, to serve. Being in office and campaigning, as everyone knows, has a big impact on your day job, on your family, on your friends, on your free time. And Dennis certainly gave a lot to the town in the last 5 years, serving on both boards. So on behalf of the board, we're very grateful for his contributions to town government. He does serve on a few committees, the pilot committee, the animal shelter committee that we're trying to get started. That's really just getting going, and also the airplane noise committee. So I think he's going to continue to be involved, and I'm looking forward to working with him on those projects, as I'm sure we all are.
I echo those comments. It's very difficult to run a race, and he ran a very good one. And somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, unfortunately. But
I thought he had some nice words last night.
Yeah, and then I want to say that he's done an awful lot of great work for the town, and we had a great race. It was I think we brought up a lot of good issues, and we're going to really all work well together, I think, moving forward. And I think it's Dennis is a true resident of Milton, and he's been a good servant, and I look forward to working with him as well.
And before we do our reorganization, I just wanted to thank a few people regarding the firefighter override that was on the ballot yesterday. It was ballot question 1. And first of all, thank the voters for the override question passing. This was in the works for a long time. It went through the town meeting process, went through the state legislature when we had a home rule petition. And unlike other overrides, whether it be a big building project or an operating override, there was not really a natural constituency to go out and advocate for this particular firefighter medical override. So a few weeks ago, the town administrator and I were talking about this particular ballot question and realized we really needed to put together an educational effort to inform the voters what this is about, what it means, what the impact would be if we pass it or if we don't pass it. Our first call was to retired Fire Chief Malcolm Larson, and Malcolm did not hesitate to help. He stepped right up and just asked, what can I do? I'm happy to help. We then reached out to some campaign pros, and some of them were involved in other campaigns for candidates, but they were all willing to jump right in, and they were Joseph Patrick O'Malley, Steve Morash, and John Michael Shields. So they stepped up, all of them, without any hesitation, and they gave a substantial amount of time to trying to get question 1 passed yesterday. And we were lucky that it did pass, largely thanks to their efforts. Also thanks to a small group of volunteers who went out and did some leafleting for us. I also want to thank My Town Matters for some advertising and an endorsement, plus the TV show that, Tom, you took part in. Many current and former elected office holders who allowed their names to be used and gave us an endorsement, and all of the candidates for townwide office who supported the question. So it passed by about 450 votes. It was a few nervous moments last night watching the results come in, whether it would pass. It was close, closer than what we anticipated. But it was a political committee that had a small budget and just a small handful of volunteers. And they didn't reach every voter in town, but they reached a lot of voters. And we had a good result. But I think it does, and there were some comments last night at the program after the election about what this might mean for a future ballot question and a future operating override, and probably means that there's a lot of work that needs to be done if there's going to be an operating override question before the voters next year. Probably one that needs to start early, and a lot of work is going to need to go in to educate people about the town budget.
Yeah, I think it showed a lot of things. It showed, number one, just how difficult it is in this town. We said it before, to get a message out. There is no one channel of communication or even 10 channels of communication that hit all the constituency out there. It's very difficult. And as I said last night, I think if there were an override, if this were an operating override question, it unquestionably would not have passed last night. So we do have our work cut out for us. We know it's going to be a tough budget year next year, and I think we have to start early, both educating the public and justifying the need strongly and early.
I agree, and I neglected to mention the town administrator in her free time, which she doesn't have much of to begin with, but was out leafleting, was working on the committee, doing as much as possible to try to get this done, again, on her own time, not on daytime. But, so thank you to that group. Malcolm, Steve, who's here tonight, we're going to be meeting with him in a little while, Joseph Patrick, and John, for all of their efforts. It was a success and wouldn't have happened without them. So we are now on to the reorganization of the board, and I'm going to nominate Tom Hurley to be the next chair of the Board of Selectmen. Do we have a second?
You do.
Tom, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
And all in favor of nominating Tom Hurley as our new chairman?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think we have to change these things, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, we'll change our microphones.
These are,
So we'll switch chairs.
otherwise we really fall out on the table.
We don't want to do that.
Haven't sat here for a while. Hi, everybody. It is a different seat. Okay.
We need to nominate a secretary.
Okay. So the first order of business is to nominate a secretary. And typically we would nominate David, correctly?
You're brand new. Do you want to be the secretary, David?
I'm happy to be.
All right.
I mean, isn't that the order of rotation typically?
I think it varies.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second the motion.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Next order of business is approval of the minutes of October 21st, 2014.
I will move that we approve the October 21st, 2014 meeting minutes as written.
Do we have a second?
I have a second.
Actually, I have to abstain, so
Yeah,
I'll
you have to-
You'll
second.
second.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
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 And I just lost my agenda. Technical difficulty.
While you're doing that, I'm going to try to remember to start making these motions, because when you're in a different role, when you're the chair, you don't make the motions. So I now need to remember. Someone might have to prompt me if there's a pause.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Confirmation of future meeting dates. Obviously, we're going to be meeting every night during town meetings, so it's May 4th, 5th, and 7th. And just decide on a time, either 6 or 6:30. I don't know that we have anything pressing lengthy that we have to discuss, but anybody have any preferences to time on that?
Sometimes we start at 6 the first night and then go to 6:30, but it depends on the agenda.
The
Yeah,
only thing we have at this point is to discuss town meeting articles.
right. Why don't we do that, though? 6 o'clock the first night and then see how it
I'm
goes? and-
engaged.
That works.
That works
It's good for
great.
me.
Okay.
It's good for me.
And do we want to do any more dates after that, or is that, I'm out of commission for a while, obviously, after that.
Well, if town meeting goes past the 7th, your next date would be the 11th?
Yes, yeah.
11th and 13th. 11th and 12th, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't go 5 nights.
I hope not. I'll jump off a bridge. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is approval of the current payroll and vendor warrants.
I'll move that we approve all current and payroll and vendor warrants.
Do I have a second?
Aye.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, citizen speak. Anybody like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next, we have a statement from Bob Bushway, who is our chief assessor, regarding the reevaluation of the town. And I'll just read the statement. It says, representative of Patriots Properties, Inc. are in the process of inspecting all properties in Milton. The Board of Assessors has contracted with the Massachusetts firm to inspect all classes of property required by statute and to be completed later this year. As part of the revaluation cycle, the Department of Revenue requires that all property be visited and reviewed for accuracy. The town has been required to conduct a full reevaluation every 3 years since 1982, with townwide inspections required every 9 or 10 years. Patriot personnel will carry Patriot property identification cards and a letter of introduction from the Board of Assessors. Please contact the Assessor's Office at 617-898-4863 with any questions. And from what I understand, I think they've already been out.
Yes, they have.
So if anybody has seen them or have had them rapping on your door, that is why. Okay. Okay, next I want to invite Steve Morrish up to discuss the Fire Space Needs Committee and the upcoming contract. Hey, Steve.
Good
evening,
evening. Nice
Steve.
to see you again. How's everyone? We have been busy since our, it seems like we've just been busy for a long time. We have worked hard to put, working with Brian LeBlanc from, in the town council, and with Anne Marie Fagan, to come up with a a request for qualifications in RFQ, which was something I wasn't familiar with, but Brian was real familiar with. He's been a big help with us on our committee. So we've put together an RFQ. It'll be in final form tomorrow, and it will be ready for release on Friday, the 1st of May. We've already put it in for publication to the Central Registry in the Secretary of State's office, so that's all set and ready to go. And Anne Marie has graciously given us Bill Ritchie as our contact here at Town Hall, so we've been talking to Bill, and we're prepared to go to this next phase. So we're looking forward to this, and our plan is to have all the responses due in a month, so on the 1st of June, we should have all our responses in and start our evaluation process. We'd like to have interviews with our responders the last week of June into the first week of July, and then have a recommendation to this board by the 15th of July, so we can move ahead and, again, get this process, to look at the work that the committee has already did with our report that we gave to town meeting last May, and see if some of those decisions still are valid. The whole issue of rehabilitation versus new construction, citing, all those decisions we made, as well as make sure that they have 3 community meetings, one in each part of the town where the current fire stations are. So we get good, 1, good education, but 2, community input about what we're really talking about doing here. We would hope that we'll come back with a recommendation to the board on the 1st of August, at least have that ready to go back to you, sir. And hopefully awarding a contract by the 1st of September. If that goes the way it is, we believe that we would want to have an article of some sort, or actually, let me back up a minute. We want to have a presentation ready for the board and for a town meeting by the 1st of May of 2016. So at the next annual town meeting in 16. One of the things
At that point, an article to do what, do you think? To
well, we're thinking that
capital project?
we still need to do a lot of talk, but I mean, just as we went through our timetable, we thought if we get to that point where we've got a presentation ready to go with some, a possible scheme of what this might look like, what some firehouses might look like, all those kind of things, then I think we have to really start the discussion of coming up with a building committee for this. I mean, it comes out of what we were asked to do as the Fire Space Needs Committee, and the next logical step, we believe, would be to establish at town meeting a fire station building committee. Now, what that timetable is with that, I have no idea. You know, we've had some preliminary discussions with this board in the past about funding opportunities, how does that all work, you know, maturing debt and all those kind of things. As I said to you, Tom, I really honestly believe if I have checks, I can't be overdrawn, so I'm not the guy to do that. So, I mean, but those are bigger issues that face the town. This need for what we looked at is not going to go away. It's only going to get probably worse if we don't do anything. And we see that as probably the next, but there's still, again, but we know that if we have to get an article for the building committee, it's got to be in by January of 2016, right, to meet the warrant. So that's kind of our timetable. Yep. We did have some questions that I need some guidance from this board. And one is, we know that the Fire Space Needs Committee will be the reviewer of the proposals that come in. And we have a set of criteria that we've established with working with town council of how we look at these vendors that come in and look at this project. One of the questions is, how involved does this board want to get? Do you want to have a member of the board sitting on our committee with us if we do this? Is it okay to let you know where we're going? It's totally up to the Board of Selectmen how you want to do that, and we'd love to have one of you with us, but I understand how you may not want to do that. But if you trust us to come back to this board with what we said was, we'll give you our first choice, and if that's not acceptable, we go to the next choice down the list. And we can give you the rationale of how that all works out. So that's something we need to get an answer from the board for. And not tonight, but if you want,
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean, I've already got a personal opinion, but I don't know if anybody else has any thought about it yet, so we can certainly work on that.
What's your personal opinion, if you don't mind saying?
My personal opinion is I think the committee that's established is capable of the selection process for a consultant to come in and review what they've done. I think as a selectman, I do want to be involved as that process continues, but I'm not sure I necessarily need to be involved in selecting a consultant.
I mean, the ultimate decision is yours.
Correct.
You are the awarding authority.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that when you look at the group of people that are on that committee, they're all
They're more than
extremely
capable.
capable.
Yes.
You know, so I agree.
So we'll
I
proceed.
agree with that as well. I had the same thought, that this is a good committee, let's let the committee proceed and come back to us and
Okay,
keep
so
us in the
we'll
loop.
come back, we'll come up with this evaluation process, we'll keep you in the loop of this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you have a town employee that's going to be sitting on that committee with us, with Bill. We think Bill's just a great knowledge and a great resource for us as we go through this. And he has been that as we've gone up to this stage, so
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Now, Steve, basically this consultant is going to pick up from your, the committee's report.
Right.
And expand on it.
Correct.
And take a look at, is it feasible to rehabilitate, or as your proposal goes, new construction, siting, and number of stations, and that type of thing.
Correct.
And
And other-
basically the configuration of,
And are the sites that we looked at, are they really feasible? And again, part of that will be getting input from townspeople as we go through this community process on different parts of town.
okay,
Okay?
fine by me.
Another question we have was, there is a bit of our evaluation that deals with the financials of the respondents, and we were not really sure that we had I just told you, my financial background, I think if I got checks, I can't be overdrawn. But none of us really have a good, solid financial background to look at these folks, and we wondered whether the town had a resource that we may want to use as part of this.
Okay, to look at, I'm a little confused in terms of...
There are some financial backgrounds of the companies, if they're solvent, those kind of things, and
Okay,
I can get that to Anne Marie if that's okay with you, and see if there's someone here.
okay, sure.
Maybe it's the town accountant, maybe it's one of our advisors, maybe it's Jim. Okay?
Okay,
So, the other thing we have is, you know, we have a huge budget of zero. And one of the concerns we had was, and we're under budget so far, we have to put an ad in the local newspaper. We believe that would be the Milton Times. I'm not sure how that process goes on an official notice, but we need to get that in by the 14th of,
that can probably be covered by the
Selectmen's
selectmen.
office under boards and committees.
so we can work through the town administrator again on that.
Yes.
I mean, it's just the front page of the RFQ that just has to be published between now and the 14th. We're pretty well ready to go with that. And there are some costs that are associated with dealing with lawyers. You might know, I don't know, Katie, you might know that. But
There
I'm
are
quite sure
costs
there's
involved. That's
I'm
true,
quite sure
Steve.
there's some billable hours that Brian's worked up, and we're not sure, as we go forward with this, is that coming out of the town's budget?
Professional service budget, I believe.
Okay, so we don't have to tell the fire chief to keep a little more out of that grant that he has for this. We just want to make sure we're on the same page on that as we move through this. So that's kind of where we are.
Great.
And we appreciate the support from the board and the town. It's been a great process.
We certainly appreciate all the hard work that your committee has done. It's really done a good job.
Okay, well, thank you.
Good
Any other
report.
questions?
I think the community involvement is the key thing, Steve,
Yeah.
especially with the locations in East Milton. And
Yes.
there's talk about the Arts Center building,
Yep.
the former library. So I think getting a lot of input from the public is going to be important.
I agree with that, too. I think that the engagement with the community, I think, as long as we keep them posted and involved in the process, we'll be in a good position.
It is our intention, and we looked at the project as we saw it, as a committee, and that was what we put out there. But we know there's always a give and take, there's a yin and yang and all this stuff, and whether there is we'd like to have someone who's built fire stations look at, especially the East Milton station, say, okay, what can we really do here? Is it okay should we be taking this down and building another one somewhere? Can we rehab this? And we want the professionals to take a look at this, more than just what our opinion was.
Good idea.
Okay?
Great.
Great.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Paula, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Emily, nice to see you again.
Okay, next order of business is an extension of the Curry management contract for Yulin Skating Rink. As you know, Curry was under initially a 3-year management contract with the town to manage Yulin that expired a couple of years ago. We went out for RFP again, and not extended, but entered into a new contract for an additional 2 years to cover the full 5 years of the operating permit that we had with the rink. We're about to enter into, or I believe we have entered into an extension of the permit for, has that been signed and
With the
submitted?
DCR?
With DCR?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
submitted April 2nd.
So we will be operating the Yulin skating rink for at least 1 more year. And we're trying to negotiate with, currently with Curry to extend that contract for another year. Not quite there yet, so that I think what we attempted to do here is just extend their current contract for a 15-day period. Did I state that properly?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't know, anything else to add, Bill? Or?
No, there will not be any difference in what we had last year versus this year. The issues come down to, we want to make sure that we answer all of the questions that DCR has, that they've asked us, that the Friends of Yulin have asked us, that Milton Youth Hockey has asked us, want it all in the contract, so that everything is black and white and it's in the contract.
Right. Yeah, we did have a very good meeting a couple of months ago, a month or so ago, with the Milton Youth Hockey, with Curry here.
Yep.
I was present and you were present. And that was a good meeting. I think we ironed out some stuff, some of their concerns. I think we addressed some of their concerns. And I think we have an idea of how to move positively forward, get some more public skate time in that Friday evening
And
period.
that's when we said that there's a few changes in there, those are the kind of things that we're looking for. We need to be able to have a little bit of wiggle room to be able to do that. Per the original RFP, there were some things in there that never took place in the first 5 years. DCR is presently trying to make sure that they do attain those specific dates that they set out 5 years ago. They're trying to get it this year. And we have one of those first meetings next week, so we're trying to make it,
Oh, user
happen
meeting?
quicker.
Next.
well, the meeting that they originally said that we would have a meeting in the spring, and they always scheduled it in August. We are now having that August meeting in May, and we'll have that next week. So that's all of the different DCR rinks that are in the same pool that we are.
Okay.
We'll have that with DCR so that well before we get to the point of being open, when they have issues, we'll have answered all of their questions ahead of time.
Great.
I have a question. Is that the meeting where the schedule gets set for the next year?
No, that doesn't happen until, for us, that doesn't happen till July,
July, okay.
yes. This is the one that, does everybody have the right insurance? Is everything, what do they need from DCR? What do, it's cumulative coming out of DCR. It's not what we need. The scheduling will come, since we already have a rate, we're not hurry up and wait for the rate change. We already know what that rate change will be for next year. So we could potentially have that, we have to give them 30 days, give the users 30 days notice, so we could have it anytime in June or beginning in July. I mean, we had it the first week of July last year.
This board does have to vote that rate increase, though. I don't think we have not done that yet, so that's something we probably should put on an agenda pretty soon.
That will be in the new contract
Yes,
that we have with Curry.
right.
That rate will be in that contract. So when you vote that contract, you'll be voting that new rate.
Do we have to vote it before that, or can we just vote it in the contract?
I'm sorry?
I believe your vote,
It's going to make mention of Mass General Law, such and such. It's going to specifically state the rate, and that is referenced in the contract.
And I believe, I'll have to look at the meeting minutes, Mr. Chairman, but I believe your vote was that if the town got the year extension from DCR, we would incorporate the new rates. But
Next
I will-
year.
Yeah, but I will check that vote
Okay, okay.
and get back to you.
Yeah, we held it static last year till the end of
Right.
April.
And that contract doesn't address public skate either, in terms of charging for public skate.
Correct.
That's another thing that we
That's-
would have to decide on, whether, because we do have the ability to do that.
Yes.
And Bill, when that July meeting is scheduled for the users, we want to make sure that all the notice requirements are observed and complied with, so that everybody has noticed. I know we had a question about that came up several months ago. So we want to just make sure that.
90% of our ice time is already accounted for, so there is that small window. And there was a requirement to put it in the newspaper for a week ahead of time, and that's the only part we didn't do. We notified all of our users, so again, 90% of our ice time was already accounted for.
Okay, but we just want to make sure we're in compliance with
In
those.
compliance.
Exactly.
Okay,
Okay, we do have a motion on the table, if somebody,
I'll move that we approve a First Amendment to the contract between the town and Curry College for management and operation of the Max Ullin Memorial Rink, so that the term of the contract shall commence on the date of execution of the contract and shall end on May 15th, 2015.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. And just for comment, again, this is only a 15-day extension while we have time for Curry to review the terms of the contract that we've put forward, the proposal we've put forward, and decide whether that's
Right.
amenable to them.
That was a very amicable meeting that we had with Curry that put all the pieces together. I mean, they came in saying one thing, we said another, and we have an agreement between the
Yes.
two of us in
We think
principle.
we do anyways.
Principle.
Okay, motion been made, second. Any further comment?
No,
Seeing none, all is in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, we have a 0 Central Ave, 131 Elliott Street demolition agreement extension.
I can give an update on this, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
What we have before is it's a Seventh Amendment to the demolition agreement from May of 2014. And David, I know you may not even have had a chance really to take a look at this yet, but we've extended the demolition date several times, as we know. It expires April 30th, which is tomorrow. So the Seventh Amendment, what it would do is extend the demolition date until July 31st, and also include a new paragraph, and I'll just read it. It says, notwithstanding any other provision of this agreement, the Town of Milton's demolition contractor shall be granted access to the Carrick property to perform the demolition of the town building, and such access shall not be restricted to the south side of the property, the town property, i.e. the location of underground oil tanks.
So by signing this, Carrick will agree to allow when the demolition does happen, for it to start on their end and come forward towards.
Yes, so that we don't have, so there could be a different point of entry onto the property through the westerly end of Elliott Street. And the background to this is, about 2 weeks ago, the town administrator and I met with the Conservation Commission, along with the Carrick Realty Trust. And Carrick, there was a meeting on a Tuesday night, and then there was a continued meeting on a Saturday, which, you know, for the Conservation Commission's an appointed board. They don't get a lot of attention like some of the elected boards do, but, you know, we got to give them credit. They started at 8 o'clock in the morning. Bill was out there with them. Bill works a lot with the Conservation Commission. They started at 8 o'clock in the morning. They finished all their site walks all around town at 12:30. They arrived in the Carol Blute conference room, and they met with Bill and me and Stephen Connolly and some of his advisors for the next 3.5 hours, and I think we got out of there around a little before 4 o'clock. So it was a pretty lengthy day, but what was heard essentially was the demolition application by Carrick Realty, the town's demolition application, and then the 40B site development application by Carrick. And as a result of a lot of those discussions, the town administrator and I had reported on the record that Tuesday night that we've been in some productive discussions with Carrick Realty Trust to potentially transfer the town property to Carrick as part of a development that would include a mixed-use commercial and residential development. We're in discussions. That's the goal. And when we met on Saturday with the Conservation Commission, the Conservation Commission approved the demolition permit for the Carrick property, continued the application for the town, because we had to resolve this issue, which we're doing now, if we amend this demolition agreement tonight regarding point of access. This is assuming that the town goes ahead and does the demolition of the town's property. So we're really going down two tracks here in discussions, and we've had very good discussions with Steve Connolly. He has his demolition permit. We're going to need a little bit more time to get ours, so that's what this agreement.
Do they actually have the demolition permit from the?
Well,
Building commission?
it was approved. They're working out some contingencies that but the Conservation Commission voted it, subject to finalizing the language. They're working on some
Okay, then
DEP
building inspector will
standards.
issue it.
Yes, they will issue the demolition permit at that time. And the Connolly application for the site development plan for the 40B, that's also on for May 12th, which is when the next time we're due back at the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of the background on where we're at. And I think it would make sense, Mr. Chairman, since I've been pretty involved in this, if I continue on working on the Henry's project, but I.
That's fine with
the
me.
board's
Does anybody else have an
consent on this.
objection? You got it.
Well, government moves slowly, but I think we're heading in the right direction, and we've got good discussions with both sides. And I know we've said it at previous meetings, but, the Connollys are our neighbors, and they live in town, they're our friends, they're our neighbors. And I think we're all trying to work towards a common goal here, which would be good for the town, I think it would be good for Carrick, and we'll see. But we're hopeful that it will have a good outcome.
Okay. 3 more amendments and I run out of fingers, so it's,
Well, this one extends us until July 31st.
okay.
So with that said, I'll move that we approve a 7th amendment to the contract, the demolition agreement between the town and Carrick Realty Trust.
Do I have a second?
Second that?
Okay, motion been made and second. Any further comment? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, item 13 is the renewal of taxi licenses within the town. Taxi cab providers that have to be licensed annually, I believe.
Yes.
Feel free to read them.
Okay. All right. I'll move that we approve the renewal of the following taxi cab licenses for 2015. Milton Taxi, Inc., 188 Providence Highway, Hyde Park, for 26 taxi cab licenses. Milton Cab Company, 10 Des Moines Road, Quincy, for 25 taxi cab licenses. And Parkway Cab, Inc., 66 Alpheus Road, Roslindale, for 1 taxi cab license.
Okay, motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made and second. Any further comments? And I do just have one question. As I was reading through this, I forget whether it was Milton Taxi or Milton Cab, even though they have 25 licenses, only operating 1 cab in the town. And I'm just curious as to
Yes.
why that was. As you read through the agenda?
The memo didn't address that.
No.
No. I was just curious.
I can follow up with the chief of police.
Yeah, 'cause it
and
did
ask
say,
him that question.
one of the cab companies, they inspected multiple cabs, and the other 2, they only inspected 1,
In
and
this
comment on
one.
1 because that's all they were operating in the town. So I was just curious.
Okay, I'll follow up.
Okay.
Get back to you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, number 14 is a waste storage tank replacement project contract, and this is to approve a contract for the waste storage tank replacement project, which, as everybody knows, is part of that big
Canton Water Agreement.
Canton Water Agreement, replacing the tanks at Chickatawbut, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, and the borrowing authorization has already been done by town meeting on this,
Correct.
so
So it's just a contract.
it's just a contract. So I'm going to move that we approve the recommendation from the town engineer to award a contract in the amount of $2,523,000 to R. Zoppo Corporation for the water storage tank replacement project, and to authorize the town administrator to sign all contractual material on the board's behalf.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further comment? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. We have and I know we had a letter in this, do we? We have a copy of it here someplace?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, do you want me to just give a short update on
Yes,
this?
please.
I spoke with Robin Taylor-Ferry from the Forbes House Museum. She's the executive director. Last week, she sent over a request. She gave us a form letter that had a lot of background information about what this grant application would be for. And Robin would like to come in and meet with the board later in May, after town meeting, just to talk about this project, to show the public through the TV some of the plans that she has for the restoration of the Forbes House Museum. They're looking for a grant from the Mass Historical Commission that would fund, if they're awarded it, renovations to the porches on the mansion, because a lot of their cultural and educational programs and concerts or lectures are during the summer months and the
Right.
spring and fall are given on the porches. So the stairs and the porches themselves need some restoration. So they've asked several organizations and groups in town to support their application. And with Robin's permission, I did a little bit of a redraft of, just so that she's giving the form letter with information to a lot of different people, and to tailor it a little bit to our board's perspective. This is a revised draft from what you probably saw last week, and I don't even know, David, if we got you the original.
No, you didn't.
So this really just is a support letter for the Forbes House, for their grant application.
And I've read the letter, and I have no problem with it. Obviously, the Forbes Museum is a wonderful property and a wonderful museum. I've been on that porch before, and it's absolutely gorgeous out there in the summer months. It's a very worthwhile project as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
I don't know, I guess we don't really have a motion for this, do we?
Well, then I'll move that we submit a letter to the Mass Historical Commission in support of the Forbes House Museum's grant application.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any further comment? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
And can we reach out to Robin to schedule a time for her to come in
Yes.
later on in a few weeks?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, the Falcone companies, pleased to announce, have donated money for the purchase of 2 PTZ cameras to be installed in East Milton Square, which I assume will be monitored by the police.
Yes.
And, yeah, obviously cameras are you know, great deterrent to crime, and, you know, it's a wonderful donation, and I'm certainly happy to accept it, but we do have a motion in front of us for that.
I will move that we accept a check in the amount of $10,382.03 from the Falcone Companies for the purchase of 2 PTZ cameras to be installed in East Milton Square on the corner of Church and Adams Streets, as per the Lantel Communications proposal.
Okay, motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further comments?
Just thank you very much to the Falcone Companies for their
Second
very
that.
generous
It is a great
gift.
Very generous, and
Yes,
I think it'll be an asset to that area.
absolutely. Any further comments? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Board and committee reappointments. Let's see, so we have the Milton Village and Central Ave Revitalization Committee first.
I'll move that we reappoint the following members to the Milton Village Central Avenue Revitalization Committee to serve through April 2016. John Zikowitz, Catherine Dunphy, Michael Wilcox, Everett Hayward, Ruth Hayden, and Chad Lundeen.
Second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further comments? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And then secondly, an appointment to the Commission on Disability. Let's let the rookie get one.
Sure. To appoint Nathan Bork of 88 Wharf to the Commission on Disability to serve through July 2015.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any further comment? Seeing none, all is in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to say that I grew up with Nathan, and I'm very excited for him to be on that.
Yes. Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy.
He served on the Warrant Committee, I believe, for
Yeah, just a wonderful guy.
Yep. Okay, now we have an approval of a one-day liquor license for the congregation Beth Shalom.
You're on a roll, Dave. You want to take this one?
Sure. To approve the request for a one-day liquor license from Congregation Beth Shalom for a fundraising event that will take place on May 30th at the First Congregational Church at 495 Canton Ave from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Second.
Okay, motion been made, second. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, Town Administrators Report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to report on the event this evening, earlier this evening, that the Town Clerk Sue Galvin held out on the gazebo, swearing in all of the newly elected officials. It's her third year doing it, and it's a really nice program. And so I thank the Town Clerk for putting that into place. And I also want to welcome David Burns. I look forward to working with you, and it will be a good year. And I also want to echo your remarks about Dennis Cohane. It was a pleasure working with Dennis Cohane for the past 3 years.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just wanted to echo Anne Marie's comments on the clerk's behalf. Just she does a phenomenal job, and it's the people that I talk to across the town are just so excited with her leadership, and I think that every time you go into that office, you have a warm smile, and her whole staff is just so willing, and it's just a real treat. And so I just wanted to thank her, and also I'll thank both of you, Tom, Mr. Chairman, and Katie, as I look forward to working with all of you.
Great. Yeah, I echo that with our town clerk. I believe we had all contested races for town meeting. I don't. Were there any that weren't?
I don't recall.
I know most of them at least were, and we've had problems with that in the past. So we've been scurrying around for people to fill seats. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with Sue and her, getting out and educating and.
She does do a great educational campaign.
Yep. So that's great. Chairman's report. I have nothing to report tonight. Members' reports.
I just want to report one item, and that's that I represented the board this past Sunday at the installation ceremony for Pastor Shelley Davis at the East Congregational Church in East Milton. And one of the things, I had to give some remarks on behalf of the board, and I touched a little bit on affordable housing, and that's an area that Pastor Shelley is very interested in. And so are a lot of the members of the Clergy Association. We have an active Milton Interfaith Clergy Association. And I know we've talked about this in some context before, but I think whether it's the Housing Trust or this board or maybe the Planning Board, I think there's a role that the Clergy Association can play in helping us with messaging, with stressing the importance of and the need for affordable housing. So I think we should try to work with the Clergy Association if we can in this area, and maybe our Affordable Housing Trust is the right place to start, given that that's a new group that's going to be working pretty hard on this topic.
That probably does make some sense. Yes. Yeah. And come to mention, you mentioned the East Milton Congregational Church, and I was there last night for a meeting. They had the meeting for the plate, and just an informational meeting, and considering it was election night, it was reasonably well attended, and Susan Lombardi did give a good presentation on what to expect from the plate in East Milton, and it was very informative.
That's probably something we'll want to talk about one of our meetings right before town meeting, is that article. So we'll want to hear any input from the Neighborhood Association as to their thoughts on that meeting, I would think.
I know the Neighborhood Association was meeting tonight in East Milton to discuss 4 or 5 of the warrant articles that more impacted East Milton. The sign bylaw one, the citizen one, and obviously the plate, and a couple of others, I forget which ones. Citizen speak responses, and we didn't have any tonight, but okay. Future agenda items.
One item, when I was new to the board, and I mentioned this to David, remember, and David obviously has been out campaigning on a platform and he's got some of his own ideas to bring to the board. So I remember we did, sometime probably after town meeting that year, we did a session where we talked about the 3 members' objectives and goals and what we'd like to try to accomplish, and see where there was commonality and where one person might think of something that the others hadn't thought about.
Yeah, just kind of a
Those sorts of things.
brainstorming.
Brainstorming session. So I think that might be a good thing to do, maybe after, once we get through town meeting, put it
Sure.
off until May or June.
I agree, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, no, those are always good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We still want to revisit the financial policies and
Yes.
Yes.
when we can. We also need to schedule the snow meeting,
Yes.
reschedule the snow meeting.
Which at this point, because I'm going to be out, it's probably going to be late. If I'm going to be involved, it's going to have to be probably late May. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, I mean, maybe look for dates in late May. Does that make sense?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I'm working with the working group that was put together during the winter snowstorms, and we are going to have a report for the Board of Selectmen, you know, what we learned over this past winter, going forward, what would the plan would like to put in place for next winter. So I should have that hopefully within the next month.
Okay.
I think that will be a good starting tool, working tool.
Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing that.
But I'm wondering if we should have the public session before we really consider that, because the idea was that the public session
Get
would help
input.
inform what the recommendations might be.
Yes.
I know the local emergency planning team is having just stepped down as a chair. I went to a couple of those meetings, and there were some good ideas that came from the department heads on that.
Yes.
But I think the idea is to try to get public input and combine it with
And then
what some of
incorporate
the
it.
ideas are that the town's already coming up with, and then produce a final recommendation
Yeah.
to the board
It's
for
almost like you
discussion.
need two. I mean, you need one course of action that you can put into place quickly when you have that 100-year kind of event, and then you need another basic set of plans for the normal kind of winter that, I mean, you don't want to plan for 8 feet of snow every year, because it's not going to happen every year, and it's obviously expensive to do that, and
No, but if we put together a playbook, you know, that kind of has parameters to it, I think that would be really helpful going forward.
sure.
And it will, you know, tweak it from year to year, and depending on the snow amounts for each year. But I just think to have a working document, as opposed to just trying to attack each storm as it comes, I think that didn't really work well this winter. And once the team got together and we kind of put a strategic plan in place and we kept to that strategic plan, I think it went a lot smoother.
Yeah, yeah.
And the communication with the DPW was one of the key issues
Yes.
to be addressed, in particular. And they don't have the same resources. You know, the police have a command center. The DPW, when there's a big snowstorm, most of the people are out in the field driving the plows. So the idea is we'd address communication issues that we experienced this year, among many other things.
I think having that collective agreement, having the policies and procedures in place, you know, for whatever magnitude it is, I think that we'll be comfortable at least to react.
Do we have
proactive
GPS
it.
on the plows at this point?
No, I don't believe we do. No.
I mean, from a strategic placement and maneuverability standpoint, GPSs, I mean, they make sense. I mean, bigger towns, you know, I think Boston now has them, and the state has them, I think, but, and the cost of GPS is pretty cheap now, so
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, I think so. You know, if we could have some sort of a MEMA group, Milton Emergency Management type of,
yeah, which we actually
Yes,
do.
we-
right, but you know, where it's, you know, where everybody's on the same page, I think, you know, with communication, I think will be real effective. And I think you guys did a great job after meeting and moving forward, and I think that we're on the right path.
Great. Okay. Seeing nothing else, I'm going to make a motion to enter into executive session for Zero Central Ave. So I'll propose a motion to enter into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, Zero Central Ave, believing that having this discussion, open session, would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the body, and to return to open session for the purpose of adjournment. Okay, Mr. Burns, and the answer has to be yes or no.
Second, do I need to second it first?
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember
second.
second.
Yes.
I will second.
Okay, so motion been made and seconded. Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Hurley, yes. So we are in executive session.